Hi guys, good morning or whatever time of day it is for you. I am going to show you how to make something like this, which is a script applique file that you can digitize yourself with zero talent in lettering design or curve making or really even digitizing for that matter. So you can do this with any word you want, but being that the Super Bowl is coming up, I thought this might be appropriate. So go ahead, make it, stitch it out on a sweatshirt, send me some pictures and share it with me. I'd love to see it. Let's get right to the tutorial.
The first thing you should notice is that we're actually not in Embrilliance yet. We are on dafont.com. And this is a website that offers free fonts, but these are just system fonts. They're not embroidery fonts, but that's cool. That's perfect for our purposes here. And what you want to do is find a font that's going to work for your project. And I've picked out this candy cane font down here. So once you identify your font, you'll download it, and that will be in a zip file. And once you uncompress that zip file, you will see you will have a TTF file. When you double click on that, that will install it as a system font. I'm going to go ahead and replace, because I've already done this, and now my font is installed. So now I'm back in Embrilliance, and if you noticed a little jump in the video, that's because I had to restart my computer in order for Embrilliance to recognize the font that I installed. Took me a little while to figure that one out. However, now that I've restarted my computer, I've started up Embrilliance again, I can head over to create mode. I'm in create mode right now. That's how I toggle in and out of it. And then pick this double T right here, which lets me access the TTF files on my machine. Now I go and locate the candy cane font. There it is right there. And I'm going to type my text, which is Patriots, my favorite football team. Actually, just kidding. I don't really like football, but for this purpose, it's my fave. And I'm going to scale this up. And you can see here, let's see, it's about 8 inches. That's pretty large. We're going to go about a little bit less than 7 inches so that people with a 5x7 hoop can do this. And let's make it taller there, dramatic. All right. Now, what you can see is that these are all separate shapes, and we want to combine these shapes into one. So we will select A and T since they overlap, and then choose this little button down here where we're going to union them together. And there is the union right there. So we no longer need the A and T's. Let's delete those. Now the T, A and T, and the R are all one piece. So we don't need these little pieces right there. We'll just take the R, A, T, and R, and we will union them. And now I have a new object. So I'm going to delete what I don't need. And now we have, it's overlapping the eye, the base of the eye. So we'll select all of those. And I'm holding down Shift to select both of them. And then union them. Okay. Delete what I don't need. Oops. No, I was a little too aggressive on the delete there. I don't need the ATR and I don't need the I because I have ATRI together. Now with the O, we have a little bit of trickery here. Actually, we'll do the subtraction later. So we'll take this part of the O, move it up, take this and this, all my letters so far, and we will union them. And now we need to add in the T, but I don't want to get confused, so I'm going to delete the parts we don't need. Okay. And my T is up there, so let's bring it up and we'll select those two and union them. Great. And I don't need the shapes that I used to make the union, so again we're going to delete them. And finally I'm on to the S, so I'll move the S up, combine all of them, and union. Okay, so now I have one big shape, and just for the fun of it, to see what it looks like, oh wait, I gotta delete these parts. Let's just fill it with a color so you can see. And it is one big shape. Now, I don't have the part of the O taken out there, so I gotta fix that. So let's say okay. We will take this little doodad right there and we need to bring that up. I'll select my big shape, select my inside of my O, and I will say subtract. Okay, and now I got rid of that O part. Okay, looks good. Now I don't want to fill, but I'm just doing that to take a look at it. What I actually want, so I have the P, all of this is my applique, everything else I don't need. So let's say we have the P and we have the top of the I. So let's actually union all of this together. Okay, is it gonna do it? No, it doesn't want to do it because it's not overlapping. Will it let me make them all together as one shape? No, it won't do that. We're gonna have to do, I think, separate appliques. But that's okay. So we'll select them all and we'll make an applique. Now that's a kind of a weird applique, but let's make it, we'll change it to a satin stitch. And now I have my Patriots applique. Now to do the shape around it is pretty simple. All I have to do is use my, what am I thinking? My add knockdown stitching. Okay, so we're going to pick that and we are going to really just think about the inflation. We want to make it, how much do we want to inflate around the shape? And I'm going to say about, let's say 10 millimeters. Okay. Now, we don't want to fill here. We want another applique. So we'll take this shape and we'll convert it to an applique. Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty much it. So we have this applique. Let's look at how this is going to stitch out. Okay. We'll look at the stitch preview. So we have the tack down stitching, then the placement, the placement stitching, the tack down stitching, then the satin finish. Okay, that's our background piece of fabric. And then we are going to have this P. It would make that. And then the rest of it. And then it's going to do that satin. Now, that's not very efficient. It'd be great if we could do the wording, the Patriots lettering all together. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I don't want Embrilliance to be confused here. You have this, applique, applique, applique. All right, so with this first applique, a couple things I need to fix. One, I only did applique position and my satin fill. I want to change that. Let's go back to create mode. I want to change that so I also have the material. What that means is now when it does the applique stitching, it will do the placement, then the tack down, then the final satin stitching. Okay. So let's just choose, I'm going to choose different colors there because I'm going to try to do a color sort and I don't want Embrilliance to be confused between the tack down stitching of my first object and then these second objects here. So let's save this as our Patriots file. I'm just going to put this on my desktop for now. Okay. And then I'm going to use my utility and then color sort it. Okay, and let's look at it in a new view and let's see if that took care of our problem. So we'll preview the stitching. Okay, we have our placement stitching, tack down stitching, satin stitching. Okay, now after that part is done, the bubble around the outside, we have our nice placement stitching, then our tack down stitching. Wait, did we skip tack down stitching? Placement, let's look. No, I think we're good. We have placement, then we have, oh no, it did it all. It did position, and then it did the final satin stitching. But you know what, to be honest, I think it's okay because The placement stitching is going to be, we don't need to do the placement stitching because we know where to place our fabric. So let's take a look again. We have this color here, which is our placement and tack down, and then we have the satin for the bubble part. Then we have tack down for the next part, and then our final satin stitching. So that, my friends, is how we would create this file. Now, if we really wanted to have that tack down stitching, let's go back right here for a second. I'm not going to save Untitled 2. I do want to save my Patriots. I think the reason why we didn't get that tack down stitching is because I didn't have, for these applique settings here, I didn't have material set. Now with material set, I will get that, now if I will get that extra round of stitching to do the placement, then the tack down for my inner letters. And we can see here, if I just do a color sort, okay, and we look at our, now I'm getting the tack down, then the placement, and then the satin stitching for the inner letters. And that is how I would digitize this fun little spirited Patriots file. I just finished stitching out the very first round of stitching, which is the placement stitching for the outer part of the applique. So I'm just going to lay my applique fabric on top here and then start the next round of stitching, which will tack it down. The fabric's all tacked down now, so I just need to trim it and I will return it to the machine. So I'm going to remove the hoop from the machine, trim around this outside edge, and then put it back on the machine. As you can see, I'm done with the final satin stitching. I could have done a better job with my trimming, but that's okay. Now we're ready to proceed with the next round of stitching, which is the placement stitching for the inner letters. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we have the placement stitching now in for our next layer of applique. So we're going to go ahead and lay down the applique fabric over this placement stitching and start the next round of stitching, which will tack it down. All right, so now we have the tack down stitching, and I need to remove this hoop from the machine and trim all of this, which is going to be super fun. But I will do that and return it to the machine for the final satin stitching. Well, that was not the easiest trim job, but I removed the excess fabric, and now I'm going to stitch the final satin stitching, and hopefully that will cover up some of the not so great trimming. So here we go. All right, we are done with the final satin stitching, and it actually looks pretty good. Despite my imperfections in trimming, I really like how it turned out. So that is how you would make an applique from a script file and stitch it out. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Feel free to like and subscribe. I wouldn't hate that. And I'll see you next time.